Have you ever noticed how no matter how carefully you explain your point of view, there are people who simply brush you off, as if your words carry no weight? Many believe that the only way to earn respect is to raise their voices, to dominate the room by sheer volume. But the truth is, respect doesn't come from shouting. It comes from presence, from conviction, and from the words you choose. Picture this. You walk into a heated family discussion, a tense workplace meeting, or even a casual conversation among neighbors. The air is thick, emotions are swirling, and yet with just a single sentence, you turn the atmosphere around. People lean in, they listen. They measure their responses differently because of the way you spoke. Not louder, but sharper, steadier, and calmer. Today, I want to share with you 5 phrases that carry this kind of power. They're not tricks, and they're not manipulative. They are words that signal confidence, self-respect, and dignity, whether you're talking to your boss, a close friend, or even a complete stranger. These phrases have the ability to stop people in their tracks and shift the dynamic in your favor. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to raise your voice. Respect is not demanded, it's inspired. Stay with me until the end, because phrase number 3 is so impactful. It can change the way even your toughest critic sees you. The stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." Respect isn't born from anger, but from composure. Words, like arrows, may be small, but in the right hands, they can pierce through walls of resistance. Think of leaders from history. Abraham Lincoln didn't scream his way through debates. He used measured, thoughtful language. Martin Luther King Jr. stirred the conscience of a nation not through shouting, but through calm conviction and the moral weight of his words. In every age, the ones who command respect aren't the loudest, but those who carry themselves with clarity and self-control. And that same principle applies in our modern daily lives, at work, at home, or in community settings. Calm words, spoken with steady conviction, always land stronger than anger. So let's explore the 5 phrases that can make people view you differently from that day forward. Phrase 1, I understand your point, but I disagree. The first phrase may look simple, but it carries deep weight. I understand your point, but I disagree. What makes this phrase powerful is that it acknowledges the other person's perspective first. You show that you listened, you respected their right to speak, and then you calmly assert your own boundary. It strikes a balance between empathy and firmness. Picture yourself in a workplace meeting in New York City. A colleague is presenting an idea that, in your judgment, won't work. Most people would either stay silent to avoid conflict or bluntly say, "That's wrong." But neither approach earns respect. Silence makes you invisible. Harsh criticism makes you combative. Instead, imagine you pause, look them in the eye, and say in a steady voice, "I understand your point, but I disagree." The room feels different. You've made it clear you're not simply rejecting them. You considered what they said, but you're standing firm. There is no aggression in your tone, yet your independence of thought is unmistakable. This phrase separates emotion from judgment. You're not attacking the person, you're addressing the idea, and in doing so, you earn respect. People may not agree with you, but they will recognize that you have your own mind and that you're unafraid to stand on it. It also helps in personal life. Imagine a family dinner in Chicago where someone suggests a decision you don't support. Instead of snapping, "That's ridiculous," you simply respond, "I understand your point, but I disagree." The conversation continues, but you've drawn a line without hostility. Respect doesn't come from always being right. It comes from having the courage to disagree with dignity. And this phrase is your tool for doing just that. If you've ever been in a situation where you stayed silent even though you disagreed, type "never again" in the comments, because from today, you'll have a better option. Phrase 2, I don't find that appropriate. The second phrase stops disrespect in its tracks. I don't find that appropriate. There are moments in life when someone crosses a line, whether it's a rude joke, an offensive remark, or an unnecessary insult. Many people laugh nervously, ignore it, or quietly stew inside. But the person who calmly speaks up commands the room. Imagine this. You're at a dinner party in Dallas, and someone makes a hurtful joke at another guest's expense. The table laughs uneasily, instead of letting it pass. You look directly at the speaker and say, I don't find that appropriate. Suddenly, the air shifts, the laughter dies down. People realize you're not a passive participant. You're someone with standards. You've defended respect without raising your voice, and that leaves a lasting impression. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "He who respects himself will be respected by others." That's exactly what happens here. By rejecting behavior you find offensive, you show that you value yourself and those around you. Others may not admit it openly, but they will measure their words more carefully in your presence. It's especially powerful for older adults. In a culture that often undervalues seniors, speaking with dignity is essential. When you calmly say, I don't find that appropriate, you remind others that your age, wisdom, and presence demand respect. This phrase also protects relationships. Instead of snapping angrily, you use calm firmness. You're not insulting the other person. You're simply refusing to validate their behavior. And often, that one sentence is enough to make them reflect. If you believe that respect begins with respecting yourself, hit the like button right now. It tells me, and it tells YouTube, that these lessons still matter. Phrase 3, let's talk when we can do so respectfully. The third phrase is one of the most transformative you can use. Let's talk when we can do so respectfully. Think about the last time someone raised their voice at you. Maybe during a disagreement at work in Los Angeles, or an argument with a family member around the dinner table in Atlanta. When voices rise, it's natural to feel your chest tighten, your heartbeat quicken, and the urge to fight back grows stronger. But shouting back only adds fuel to the fire. Instead, imagine staying calm and saying, let's talk when we can do so respectfully. Suddenly, you've shifted the dynamic. You've refused to wrestle in the mud. You've taken control, not by overpowering the other person, but by setting the terms of the discussion. This phrase sends a clear message. Disrespect is not welcome in your space. What happens next is remarkable. The room often falls into silence. The person who was yelling may stumble, realizing they lost their grip on the conversation. You, on the other hand, walk away with your peace intact and your authority strengthened. There's a deeper truth here. When you use this phrase, you're not only protecting the quality of the conversation, you're protecting your dignity, you're modeling emotional self-mastery, you're showing others that you won't allow chaos to dictate your behavior. Think of how Dr. Maya Angelou carried herself in public dialogue. She didn't need to raise her voice to silence critics. Her composure and the weight of her words spoke volumes. Likewise, when you declare that respect is the ground on which you're willing to engage, people will treat you differently. This phrase is especially helpful with family. Picture a grandson in Chicago getting frustrated and snapping at you. Instead of taking the bait, you gently but firmly say, let's talk when we can do so respectfully. You've taught a life lesson in that moment. Respect is not optional. If you've ever had to step away from a toxic argument to keep your peace, type respect first in the comments. Let's remind each other that self-control is strength. Phrase 4, I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. The fourth phrase is like closing a door with quiet finality. I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. There are times when people argue not to seek truth, but simply to provoke, to win, or to waste your energy. And sometimes the most powerful act is not engaging at all. This phrase gives you that option. With dignity, imagine being at a community meeting in Phoenix, and a neighbor keeps bringing up the same negative points. not to solve problems, but to stir tension. You could argue endlessly, but instead you calmly say, I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. The effect is immediate. You've ended the back and forth without raising your voice. You've shown that your energy is too valuable to be spent on empty conflict, and you've left no doubt that you're in charge of your own boundaries. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's the heart of this phrase. You're not mirroring their negativity. You're choosing peace over pettiness. In practical terms, this works in personal relationships too. Imagine a cousin at Thanksgiving in Boston who insists on dragging politics into every conversation. Instead of letting the evening spiral, you quietly reply, I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. You've shut the door without slamming it. This phrase is also deeply empowering for seniors. Too often, older adults are pressured into conversations they don't want, whether it's pushy salespeople, nosy relatives, or even medical professionals who don't listen. By saying, I'd prefer not to continue this conversation, you remind everyone that your voice matters and that you decide what deserves your time. And here's the secret. Silence, when chosen with intention, is one of the most powerful forms of communication. You don't need to win every argument. Sometimes the greatest strength is walking away with your dignity intact. If you believe your energy is too precious to waste on endless arguments, make sure you subscribe right now. Each week, we share tools that help you live with more peace, wisdom, and respect. Phrase 5. That's your opinion and I respect it, but I don't share it. The fifth phrase blends courtesy with firmness. That's your opinion and I respect it, but I don't share it. We live in a world where disagreements can quickly turn into heated debates. People often push hard, not because they care about the truth, but because they want their opinion to dominate. This phrase allows you to step out of that trap. Imagine you're at a backyard barbecue in San Diego, and someone tries to convince you that your lifestyle, your choices, or your beliefs are wrong. Instead of launching into a point-by-point argument that will lead nowhere, you simply say, that's your opinion and I respect it, but I don't share it. The moment you say this, you've acknowledged their right to think as they do, you've shown politeness, but you've also drawn a clear boundary. You are not theirs to persuade. You are not swayed by pressure. Your independence of thought is intact. This is especially powerful for older adults. Many seniors find themselves on the receiving end of patronizing advice, sometimes even from their own children, whether it's about how to spend money, how to eat, or how to live. It can feel as though others are trying to run your life. With this phrase, you can respond with dignity. That's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't share it. You've diffused the tension while holding your ground. Seneca once warned that being a slave to the opinions of others is the harshest prison. This phrase is the key to freedom. You're neither dismissing nor bowing. You're standing tall, respectful, yet firm. Think of Eleanor Roosevelt, who famously said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." This phrase is a modern expression of that same truth. By respecting others but refusing to surrender your own convictions, you project quiet strength. Conclusion. These are not magic tricks. They're not shortcuts to dominate others. They are tools of clarity, self-respect, and calm authority. When spoken with sincerity, they compel people to measure their words and regard you with greater consideration. Respect is never truly earned by force. It cannot be shouted into existence. Real respect comes from character, from the willingness to hold yourself with dignity even when others do not, from the courage to protect your peace while still engaging with compassion. Think back on your own life. How many times have you let someone else's disrespectful words pierce your heart, or let silence swallow your perspective? How many times have you wished for a way to stand your ground without losing your composure? These phrases are your answer. They remind us that wisdom is not about winning arguments. It's about choosing which conversations are worth your energy. They remind us that power is not about raising your voice. It's about lowering the temperature of the room with calm conviction. They remind us that respect doesn't arrive when you demand it. It grows when you embody it. At this stage in life, whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, every word you speak carries more weight than you realize. You've lived, you've seen, you've learned. When you speak with calm authority, others listen, not because you shouted, but because your presence itself is undeniable. So I encourage you, practice these phrases. The next time someone challenges you, or disrespects you, or tries to drag you into chaos, take a deep breath, choose your words carefully, and then speak, not with anger, not with fear, but with the steady confidence of someone who knows their worth.